Hey, how you going? My name's Jack. I'm a member of the volunteers at the Forest of Marston Vale. This is an excerpt from a small presentation I was putting together for the AGM meeting on the 11th of May, which has of course been cancelled. So welcome if you're a member of the volunteers group, welcome if you are one of my friends or my family, welcome if you are just a random person who has stumbled across this video. I do hope you enjoy it, and I hope you find it at least slightly entertaining and slightly educational as well. So in introduction, the talk that I was going to give was going to be called The Unseen World Beneath Your Feet, basically focusing on some of the smaller animals you can find around the centre. I know a lot of people know their birds, they know their deer, they know their foxes and their badgers, but when was the last time you had a proper dig around in the leaf litter and tried to find something a little bit smaller, a little bit less well known? We are going to start actually with quite a well known one. This is of course a ladybird. Ladybirds are very well known. You can find them throughout the world. Basically anywhere you get aphids you will find ladybirds. Aphids are the main part of a ladybird's diet. Ladybird's considered to be one of the gardener's best friends because of the damage that aphids can do, but we'll talk about that in a little minute. So here is an aphid. This is the same picture. This is just a black fly aphid in the ladybird's mouth. So the ladybird has managed to catch one and is enjoying its meal. Quite unluckily for the aphid, unfortunately. Aphids are sapsuckers, so they inject their mouthpiece into a plant and they suck the sort of sugar-rich liquid out of it, which takes out the support from the plant, also takes the nutrients out for the plant and can kill the plant if enough do it at the same time, which is why so many gardeners hate their aphids and love their ladybirds, which makes a lot of sense. You get more than one type of aphid, of course. The black ones are one of the more common ones, but then we have these guys. These are what's known as a pea aphid, and they're basically found on many different types of legume plant, although these ones here were found on a dandelion, which I'm pretty sure is not in the legume family, but here they are. I'm pretty sure this is the right type of aphid. You can see there are two there in the mass of bodies that are almost a bright pink colour. This is a natural colour. These aphids can be either green or pink. I do like the pink ones, but the green ones, as you can see here, are just way more common. If you look up at the sort of the top right of the stalk as well, just behind that last aphid, you can see a very tiny little baby aphid, and also a set of wings. Now, not all of the aphids grow wings, only sort of the bigger and stronger ones do, and then they will fly over onto another plant and lay more eggs to start a secondary colony. Interestingly, when the eggs hatch, all of the nymphs are female, and it's only later on in their life that they actually can switch gender and mate with each other to produce that next generation of offspring. This is something that is used by quite a lot of animals in the animal kingdom. The clownfish is one that comes to mind. Actually, male clownfish can switch genders to female and mate with their own offspring if the female dies, so that they can continue the genetic line, which makes the film Finding Nemo a little bit more unsettling. would you not say? Anyway. So there's something else here some of the eagle-eyed out of you may notice, which is this. It's some type of caterpillar. I'm not sure what type of caterpillar, to be honest with you, but it's a small one, and it just hangs out with the aphids. They pose no threat to each other. They both just eat plant matter. So the caterpillar's got nothing to worry about. The aphids have got nothing to worry about. It's a pretty good relationship that they've got going for each other. So we know that ladybirds hunt our little aphid friends here. But do you know of an animal that actually farms them? The answer is ants. A couple of different species of ants. I don't have any photos of them farming aphids, unfortunately, at least yet. That's something I'll be keeping an eye out for this summer. But I do have this photo of a yellow ant's nest. The way they farm the aphids is they basically gently caress the aphid's back, and this stimulates the aphid to release a high sugar liquid from its rear end. The ant then drinks this and gets a nice little energy boost out of it. Now, done on a large enough scale, they can get a massive amount of nectar from the aphids, which is a massive amount of energy that they can put into producing the next generation of ants. So you can see this one ant here using those rather scary looking mandibles to carry this egg sac around. These ants can give you a pretty nasty nip, but when they're moving their own eggs around, they are just so delicate and gentle. It really is quite incredible. They just move it around so gently. But if you weren't that egg, then you would be feeling quite a lot of pain as it was grabbing onto you. Here's another image inside the ant's nest. As you can see, there's quite a lot of eggs in there. They're definitely doing a good job at producing the next generation. This big grey line down the center and on the right hand and left hand side, the nest is actually split into chambers, basically. Quite organized. There's quite a lot of structure to the yellow ant's nest. In a nice little bit of contrast, here is a photograph of a red ant's nest. Now, it's quite hard to tell what's going on here because it is just an absolute ball of ants, but They collect together into a ball, and in the center of that ball is where their eggs are kept. So in this photo, you can see some of the eggs being sort of moved into the center of this writhing mass of ants, which is quite amazing. This large biting ball is going to be one of the best forms of defense for an egg. As you can imagine, no one's going to want to stick their hand into a writhing mass of biting ants. Apart from maybe me, but I do it for scientific purposes. I wouldn't recommend that you do it yourself. Ants eat more or less everything. Not a lot can come into contact with ants without being eaten. I remember when I was 5 years old, I was in Florida, and I actually saw a group of army ants carrying a praying mantis around about this big across a mini golf course. And that was one of the first points that I really realized how amazing ants were, and how by working together and putting in their commitment, there's not really a lot that ants can't achieve, even though they work on a hive mind. If they had sort of individual sentience, I worry at how advanced ants would be. I think they would probably have knocked us off the top of the food chain at this point. But these little white darlings here are what are known as ant isopods, and they live in ant colonies, and they help the ants keep the place clean. So isopods are what we call detrivores. They eat decaying matter, and this can actually include the waste products of other animals. So in this ant's nest specifically, these ant isopods will eat the ant's poo. They will eat anything that's turning into mold or fungus. They will eat anything that's just breaking down too much that the ants can't eat it. And they're basically just like a house cleaning team. They keep the whole place looking real nice and tidy, and in return, the ants don't instantly murder them, which is just a great symbiotic relationship to have, I think. So isopods you can get in many different shapes, sizes, and colors. Here's another one, a pink isopod of some description. I don't really know the species, unfortunately. There are so many. And here is a video of a skirted isopod on a piece of bark, which I think is just marvelous. They're such beautiful, beautiful little animals. So isopods include these woodlice, things like pillbugs, and some aquatic crustaceans as well. They are in the crustacean family. So woodlice do a fantastic job of keeping the forest floor clean. They do a lot of help of getting rid of a lot of the decaying stuff, but it is really not that much work when you compare them with something like these guys. Now this is a globular springtail. This one here is called Dictramina minuta, which is a globular springtail. This one is the size of a pinhead around and about, so it's absolutely minuscule. They are also detrivores. There are hundreds and hundreds of species of these. People say there are up to 100,000 springtails within every square meter of topsoil. So that is a massive amount of springtails in a fairly small amount of space. Here is another one. This one is Dictramina saundesi, which has some wonderful patterns, the purple on the back. And they are, again, the size of a pinhead, which is absolutely tiny when you look at them, but not when you compare them with something like this down in the bottom right corner. This little purple animal here is another type of springtail. You can see it's like 1/5 the size of the other springtail. It's quite amazing how really small they do get. That's it as far as sort of my first little excerpt goes. I just want to make sure that everything works and I can do all the video editing. So if you enjoyed it, please do let me know. If you want to see another one, please do let me know. I've got so many more photos that I could do this talk about. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for listening, and hopefully I'll see you again soon. Stay safe, wash your hands, and don't take candy from strangers.